If we could go on and get your attention, please. There's some seats up here. If anybody would like to be seated. I'm Gary Ransdell, president of Western Kentucky University, and I would like to welcome you to E.A. Diddle Arena for a very important announcement. We like red letter days at Western Kentucky University, and this is indeed a red letter day because if there's anyone who is the epitome of the red W, the red letter, it is Ed Stansbury. This is a moment that I've been looking forward to for the last few months since I've had the opportunity to get to know this gentleman and to get to know his history with this place. And we had crossed paths briefly in the past, but the opportunity to develop a friendship has been a special moment for me since my return to Western in November. I do want to introduce Dero G. Downing. You don't need an introduction for that name. He too is part of the history of this institution. But what is special is the relationship that these two men have shared for nearly all of their adult life, and to hear them talk about the stories they have for each other and the passion they have for each other and the passion they have for this place and what they have both done to create the character of this institution is something that I'm humbled by and proud to be a part of. So Dr. Downing, if you would come forward. And I know you've got a very special announcement to make and one that we will all take great pride in. Please.
Thank you, President Ransdell. And our thanks to each of you for your presence today to share with us a recognition which is certainly reflects a long history and heritage of what the Spirit of the Hill is all about. You know, the major currents of life, I've often thought, are not easily defined. Love, loyalty, spirit. Dr. Cherry at one time, in attempting to answer a question, well, what is the Western spirit? And he says, well, it's that other thing. And these qualities are embedded in the body, life, heart, and soul and fiber, and have been over a period of several decades of Edith and Ed Stansbury. You know, someone has said that, and I subscribe to this axiom, if I could call it that we are what we are because we've been what we've been. And we today on this campus are the beneficiaries of many loyal, faithful, full-spirited Westerners who have contributed so much to the development of what we enjoy here at the present. Among those, as you already know, is Colonel Edgar B. Stansbury. He has been interested in and supportive of the College Heights Foundation from the time he came here as a student, almost at the same time the foundation was chartered. It was founded by Dr. Cherry and chartered in 1923. 3 years later, Ed arrived on the campus, so he's been familiar with the mission and the work of the College Heights Foundation since that time. And as a result, he and his wife Edith, many years ago, made us aware of the fact that they had committed their entire estates at the demise of the last of survivor of the Stansburys would be in the will as bequests to the College Heights Foundation. But more recently, Ed has given thought and attention to ways in which he could facilitate this plan which he had put in place many years ago. And as a result, this morning in the College Heights Foundation, he met with a group of us, and we executed the Colonel Edgar B. and Edith R. Stansbury Charitable Remainder Trust Agreement. That agreement was executed this morning, and the approximate amount we won't know until the end of the day today, and we get some feedback on the exact value of some of the bonds and stocks, but it will most likely exceed $522,000. And this will be combined with the bequest that will come at the end of Ed's life, which we hope Ed will be many, many years down the road. But when the will is executed, the remainder of that estate comes for a combined gift in excess of $1 million. And we want you to know, Colonel Stansbury, that also in our thoughts today is our affection and love and great respect for Edith, because she is such an important part of what is being put in place. And I know that she, along with Coach Diddle, who was almost like a father to Ed, Kelly Thompson, who was much like a brother, L.T. Smith, who was a mentor and teacher and great friend of Ed's, and Dr. Cherry, with whom Ed had a special relationship even in his student days and even closer later. I think all of those are joining Edith today and sort of smiling down on this occasion. You know, if there is truth or meaning, value in that axiom that we are what we are because we've been what we've been, the natural progression in that thought, if there is any logic to it, that what we are to be, we are now becoming. And Ed, you have putting in place something that will be treasured and cherished, carefully administered, and deeply appreciated over the years to come, as it will be there in perpetuity. And before I ask that Ed come and make what comments he might want to make, I want to share with you the action that has been taken by President Ransdell, who has made this recommendation to the Board of Regents, and the Board of Regents has in turn given approval to a lasting means of recognizing Colonel Edgar B. Stansbury and Edith R. Stansbury, that henceforth and at some point in the coming weeks or months, the two areas will be appropriately identified in this way. This area in which we are meeting today and the entire concourse, main concourse of this building, will be named the Edgar B. Stansbury Concourse. Mr. President, I certainly would commend you in taking that action, and would ask that you convey to the Board of Regents our congratulations upon an appropriate recognition. Had it not been for Ed Stansbury, We may have, at this point in time, an Athletic Hall of Fame, but I doubt it. Throughout the years I was president, he needled me and he prodded me, and he said, we need to establish the Western Kentucky University Athletic Hall of Fame, because he'd been friends with so many who had contributed to athletics on the Hill. So I think it's fitting, Ed, that this area houses the Athletic Hall of Fame. As you go around the concourse, you'll notice all of the photographs, and that's the result of not only the encouragement given to it, but also some of the financial support given to these photographs around the concourse of all the teams that have played at Western. And I think that the fact that it's located in the E.A. Diddle Arena, it brings back together two of the great people, characters, personalities of Western athletics. And in addition to this recognition, there has been a beautiful room. It will be made so. It's a sizable room in the Department of English, which will be designated the Edith R. Stansbury Room in the Department of English. And we would commend the university for taking that action as well. And Ed, we're grateful to you. If you have remarks you'd wish to make, we would welcome them at this time.
I've been with him for 3 days. He never mentioned any of this. I'm flabbergasted. Thank you all very much. Dr. Ransdell, Dr. David Downing. I would like to go over with you a dream. When Edith and I made out our will in 1960, or the late 60s, we stipulated in the will that our entire estate at the time of our passing of the last grantor, except for one or two minor considerations, would go to the College House Foundation to provide for athletic scholarships for needy student athletes. The decision was made easier because there were no children nor a common list of relatives. Besides, at that point in our estate, we didn't have very much. We sent a copy of the signed and notarized will to the College House Foundation. We took this action because there was a need for athletic scholarships, and two, I had not forgotten about my money problems as a student back in the 20s. We believed our estate could support an athletic scholarship or two. In our wildest dreams, we never thought by 1998 our estate would estimate the value of $1 million, of half of which would be available placed in a trust fund to be managed by the foundation. I entered Western in 1926 with little or no money, as was true with many other student athletes. Mr. Diddle and other Western people helped us as best they could in finding a job, mostly on the campus. I never thought for 1 minute that 72 years later I would be in position to help make a difference. In my day, student athletes were encouraged and supported by most of the faculty, but there were 3 people who made a great difference in my life during this period. Mr. Diddle helped me get work, to ease money problems, to see to it that I stayed in school, that I went to classes, that I got my degree. Dr. Cherry, President, with his inspirational chapel talks, gave me a vision. Further, during this critical period, he provided Edith and me with a rent-free cottage for managing some of his personal properties. Mr. L.T. Smith saw to it that I got my master's degree from Peabody College in 1933, and he, with Mr. Diddle, were instrumental in bringing me back to Western in 1934 as assistant coach. These three individuals deserve to be remembered as part of the equation that made it possible for the Stansburys to establish a scholarship program. Without these three degrees, and the lessons learned in the process, the inspiring leadership of Dr. Cherry and his help, being in the right place and a lot of luck, and the outstanding support of Edith, my wife, for 65 years, it is highly unlikely that there would have been a state worthy of a mention to support this scholarship program. During the World War II, and from 1947 to 1961, I was a member of the United States Air Force, and Edith and I did not have much of an opportunity to visit the campus during that period. Upon retirement from the Air Force in the 60s, we were free to attend most of the homecomings since, except a couple of years that Edith was sick with cancer. Edith passed away, as you probably know, the 18th of May, 1997, and is buried here in the Fairview Cemetery in Bowling Green. During our visits on the campus, we always made it a point to visit with the president and others with whom we met. They all seemed to be glad to see us and made us feel at home and part of the university and community as we have never left. These relationships further affirmed our early action to provide a scholarship. I think I can say without question, I'm a very few Western graduates who had a speaking relationship with the president from Dr. Cherry through Dr. Ransdell. Four of the presidents, Dr. Thompson, Dr. Downing, Dr. Meredith, when in Florida, for whatever reason, took time to visit with me in Florida. Dr. Ransdell came along with Ron Beck, visited me in Florida no longer than about 2 months ago. I was in college with one president, Dr. Thompson, and assisted Mr. Diddle in coaching another, Dr. Downing, who played on one of Mr. Diddle's great basketball teams. In the mid-1938, Edith and I started sending a year report to the College Heights Foundation for the purpose was to keep Dr. Downing, the president, up to date on the status of our entire state, especially the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. At this point in time, we had established a $1,000 athletic scholarship with the College Heights Foundation. This is the only scholarship that we had that was actually funded at that time. After the 1997 year ended, I suggested to Dr. Downing that we expand this scholarship program to honor Edith, as she had done a lot with the development of the state. He came up with a plan. I accepted it. This plan provides for at least 2 English scholarships awards in honor of Edith, and at least two scholarships for teacher education. This will be added to the athletic scholarship program. Edith was an English major from the University of Kentucky and taught English and related subjects for over 20 years. And for nearly 66 years, tried her best to correct my less than perfect English. In the process of making adjustments in the scholarship program, Dr. Downing proposed I review the possibility of an annuity trust fund. In February 1998, he sent me a draft of such a fund. In a meeting in Largo, Florida with my attorney and a CPA, tax person, and a close friend well versed in these matters, it was determined that the following was true. A, it was a good deal for both parties, College Heights Foundation and me. It did not violate provision of the will, and it was provided for in the laws governing such matters. I decided with 2 exceptions. All stocks and bonds would be committed to this trust fund, amounting to approximately $500,000. The exact dollar amount, as Dr. D. wrote down and indicated a moment ago, will be determined by the market at the time of the transfer, which took place today. I don't know what the extent of it is at this moment. This part of the estate becomes the sole responsibility of the College Heights Foundation to manage as deemed appropriate. Upon my demise, these 3 trust funds, or then whatever they're worth, will be transferred from the trust to Edith and Ed Stansbury's scholarship fund to join that part of the state I have retained. This consolidation should make this scholarship fund well within the forecasted amount of $1 million to be managed by the College Heights Foundation in accordance with the vision of the will and the approved expansion of the will. I requested in the wording of the trust fund that it clearly recognize Edith as a partner in this transaction, and a bit of a military flavor to be added to the language. You will remember General MacArthur, when he was fired by Truman, made the statement at one of the press conferences, "Old soldiers never die, they merely fade away." I didn't want to fade away, so I requested when the trust fund agreement is mentioned MR, it read COL. My cordial dealings with Dr. Downing in these matters through the years and keeping them on the front burner, plus his leadership in the expansion of the program and the development of the trust fund, further strengthens our original action to establish the Scholars Fund. This morning, as Dr. Downing indicated, we realized a dream of 72 years, but in so doing, we may hopefully make it possible for other folks in the future, maybe some unborn, to realize a dream. I'm glad to be here, and thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Stansbury. A couple closing comments. First of all, there's one individual that must be recognized because she has played a critical role in this ultimate sacrificial gift. And Harriet Downing, I want to personally thank you and on behalf of everybody associated with this university for what you've done. I have not had the opportunity, did not have the opportunity to know Edith, but I know the relationship that you had with her and the friendship that you had for many, many years. And I know that relationships like this result in meaningful philanthropy. And as I said, this is the ultimate sacrificial gift, Colonel Stansbury, and we're grateful. The endowment that's been created for the athletic program and for the English department is the very thing that will make both of those departments permanent. Buildings come and go, people come and go, curricula change, but endowments make education permanent. And this endowment will make this athletic program and scholarships in the English department permanent. And that is a very long time. And as long as Western Kentucky University exists, and because of these endowments, it will exist forever, your name will be special in the life of this university in perpetuity. Thank you very much.
Look, get this guy. We've been 3 days. You never taken it here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trevor. Appreciate you. You know that.
Let me get your attention one more time. You all may not be aware of this, but there's one thing that I meant to mention. One of the stories that Ed Stansbury took great pleasure in telling me about is the origination of the red towel. And this is the gentleman, and I'm not sure that his motives were as spiritual as this symbol has become for this university at the time, because I think he was just trying to find a way to keep the basketball players from stealing the daggone towels. But this is the man who dyed it red, and this is the man who started this symbol, this tradition of spirit at this university, Ed Stansbury.